What is going on, you guys? Alex back here with a brand new video, and today we're going to be talking about my 2024-2025 NBA All-Stars. It's wild. It's almost at the halfway point of the season. We're almost at the All-Star break, a few weeks away, but it's crazy we're already here. It feels like the off-season was last month. It feels like the season started a few weeks ago. Not really, but you know what I mean. The year has flown by. It really has. And today, these are my personal 2024-2025 All-Stars, meaning my personal All-Stars. I don't care what the fan voting is. I'm not going by fan voting. I don't care what anyone says. Now, my votes shouldn't waver too much of what the actual All-Stars will be, but there may be a few differences as it's my personal All-Stars. And the way this is going to go down, we're going to go through my starters in the East, and then we're going to go through my starters in the West. We'll come back to the reserves in the East, and then we'll finish off with my reserves in the West. And we're going to jump right into things, starting off with my All-Star starters in the Eastern Conference. At point guard, starting off in my backcourt, give me Jalen Brunson. One of the best teams in the league. Of course, they have to have Jalen Brunson in this starting spot. I've seen a lot of chatter about LaMelo Ball, and boy, do I love it. I'm not a Charlotte Hornets fan in any way, shape, or form, but I love Brandon Miller. I go to the University of Alabama, so I've started to watch more Hornets games over the last couple years, and I've started to really love LaMelo Ball's game. He's so much fun to watch. How could you not like him? I remember back when I was a kid, he was in middle school and high school. I was kind of coming up with him, and I watched his game then with the other Ball brothers. He's a fun player, and he's having a great year, but they're not good. They are 8-27. LaMelo Ball should not be a starter. He just shouldn't be. So I'm giving the edge to Jalen Brunson at my point guard. At the two guard, give me Donovan Mitchell. I mean, they're the best team in the league. Donovan Mitchell is not having his best year by points per game or all that stuff, but he doesn't need to. There are so many weapons on this Cleveland Cavaliers roster, but he is the leader of this team, so of course, he has to get that recognition. He's going to be my starting shooting guard in the Eastern Conference. At the small forward, there's really no competition for him. It's going to be Jason Tatum all day, every day. Yesterday, tomorrow, it's going to be Jason Tatum. There's no competition. He's having a great year. He's been a little bit mid for him the last couple weeks, but so has the Boston Celtics team. So it's just, they're in a little bit of a rut right now with a really bad loss to the Sacramento Kings last night. Pissed me off. Either way, Jason Tatum has no competition for that starting three. He's going to get that spot. At the four, give me Giannis. Do I really have to explain why? I don't think I have to. We're going to move on to the center here. It's going to be Karl Anthony Towns, arguably having the best season of his entire career. There was a little bit of questions. Him coming to New York, will he struggle a little bit to find his role? Though he has been an offensive monster ever since he has stepped foot in New York City. He's been amazing. The team struggled a little bit at first, but that's to be expected. But Cat has not struggled at all. He is having a fantastic season, and he's going to be rewarded with being my all-star starter. Moving on to the Western Conference, there's no debate here. I don't want to hear anyone. I don't think anyone's going to argue with me, but give me SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, number one right now in MVP odds. He's going to be my starting point guard in the Western Conference. And then at the two, now this is where there's some debate. Anthony Edwards, Steph Curry, whoever it may be. I'm going with Anthony Edwards. Steph Curry may get it in the fan vote, but I think Anthony Edwards is having a better season. I know the Timberwolves aren't amazing, but they're 20-17. They're not playing terrible, just not as good as we thought. So we'll see what happens in this year. But I think Anthony Edwards, of course, is a superstar, and he deserves to be an all-star starter, in my opinion. At the three guard, again, this is where things get a little bit, maybe different from the mainstream idea. LeBron James, Kevin Durant, those could be the all-star starters in the first front court position. I'm going with Victor Wembanyama. This is the all-star game, right? It doesn't have to be ultra-realistic. Victor Wembanyama can play that three. So I'm putting Victor Wembanyama at my small forward position, the first thing in the front court, and it doesn't even have to be small forward. It's back court and front court. It doesn't really matter. I'm putting Victor Wembanyama in that starting position. He's averaging 25 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, multiple blocks a game, a steal a game. He's having an amazing year. He has to be a starter no matter what. I'm putting him there. We'll move on to the other front court position. Anthony Davis. He's having a great year. I think he needs to be a starter. I know the Lakers aren't necessarily killing it, but they're the 6th seed right now. They're a playoff team, not a play-in team. They're a playoff team. And Anthony Davis is the best player on that team. Of course, LeBron James is LeBron James, but Anthony Davis is having a better year. And then my final starting position is, of course, going to be Jokic. A lot like Giannis, a lot like SGA. There's no room for debate. Jokic is Jokic. He's going to be, of course, the starting center in the Western Conference. Jumping back up to the Eastern Conference going into the reserves. Some of these might get a little bit interesting, but not this first one here. I couldn't start him just based off the record of the team, some injuries, this, that, and that. But LaMelo Ball, of course, has to be an all-star. He's going to be my first reserve off the bench in the Eastern Conference. And the way this works is that there are 2 guards, 3 front court players, and then it goes to 2 any positions for how the bench unit is made. So my 2 guards off the bench in the Eastern Conference are going to be LaMelo Ball and Damian Lillard. Having a good year, not like his best year of his career, but still an all-star level player. The Milwaukee Bucks are pretty solid. They've gotten a lot better as the year has gone on. Damian Lillard, of course, and Giannis are the reasons because of that. So it's going to be LaMelo Ball and Damian Lillard as my 2 first guards coming off the bench. And then getting into the front court in the Eastern Conference. I bounced around a lot. For real, this entire list, except some of the starters, have bounced around all over the place. I started this list about 5 days ago, and I changed a couple things about 10 minutes ago before I clicked record. And one of those was how many Cleveland Cavaliers am I going to have in the All-Star game? They're 33-4 at the time I'm recording this. Best team in the NBA. You look at that OKC game, it was amazing. You have Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley being the best big man duos in the league. Donovan Mitchell didn't even have a great game, and they still beat the OKC Thunder. They both have to make it. That being Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. Both those guys are going to be my 2 of 3 front court spots off the bench. I almost didn't put Jarrett Allen in here because if you just look at his stats at face value, they're great, but they're not necessarily all-star stats. But when you're the best team in the league, you have a lot of guys to feed. Jarrett Allen is one of the main reasons why they're so good, along with Evan Mobley, who does have the all-star stats next to his name. So they're both going to make it. I almost didn't put Allen in there. You look at guys like Pascal Siakam, Nikola Vucevic, maybe even RJ Barrett that might be putting up, better eye stats, but they're not on great teams necessarily. I'm giving the edge to Jarrett Allen. He's making it. And then my third and final front court position is going to go to Jaylen Brown. And I don't really love this. I'm a Celtics fan, but I don't really love putting Jaylen Brown right there. I mean, he's having a good year, but not one of his better years. His shooting efficiency isn't great. He's going to be an all-star because it's the Eastern Conference, and I think at worst, he's just like one of those freebie positions in the last 2 all-star spots, but he is going to make one of those front court positions because it is the Celtics. They're one of the best teams in the league. He's great. I'm just not loving his game as of right now, so it's a little disheartening to put him there, but he definitely does deserve it because it is Jaylen Brown, and overall, he is having a good season. And then my 2 final slots to finish off this Eastern Conference all-star team is going to be Cade Cunningham. I think he's a lock to be one of those 2 any position types of players. I think that's a lock. He's having a great year. The Pistons, as of right now, are 19-19, having one of their best seasons in years. They've won 8 out of their last 10, and he's the leader of that team. And he is one of the main reasons why they're so good, or, getting to be good. I'm putting Cade Cunningham in the All-Star game. And then the final any position spot, the final spot on this team, I'm stuck between Tyler Hero and Trae Young. You really could go either way. But I'm going to lean towards Tyler Hero. I know Trae Young is putting better counting stats on the board, especially with his playmaking ability, averaging around 12 assists a game. But Tyler Hero, I think, just deserves it more. He's the best player on that team right now. Jimmy Butler's non-existent because he's suspended, and then before that, wasn't really playing amazing basketball. Bam Adebayo has struggled this year. He's not even going to be an all-star. I just think Tyler Hero, he is having the best season of his career, and it would be so fun to see him in an all-star game. But I wouldn't be mad if Trae Young made it. Very well deserved. He's just not really shooting the ball with great efficiency, not as much as he was in other years. He's gotten a little better as the year has gone on, but just still not great. So I'm giving the edge to Tyler Hero. But some guys that could make it if guys end up getting injured, it could be Trae Young. You could see Zach LaVine making it because he is having a good year. You could see Vucevic making it in the front court. He was one of the original guys I did have in that front court position over Jarrett Allen because he is putting up better stats, but just the team's not great. And I'm like, the Cavs are awesome. I'm putting Jarrett Allen in there. I took Vucevic off. But you could see Vucevic make the All-Star game. He's having a good year. You could see RJ Barrett make it, Pascal Siakam. And then Darius Garland. I mean, I was struggling. How many Cavaliers do I put into this All-Star team? Do I put 4? It wouldn't be insane because the Cavaliers are by far the best team in the league. But I couldn't put him in there over guys like Tyler Hero, possibly Trae Young, or Cade Cunningham. But I wouldn't be shocked if Darius Garland does make it because he is the point guard on the best team in the NBA, and he is having a good year. So wouldn't be shocked to see it. I just personally couldn't put 4 guys in there. I put Allen in there out of respect, and he is having a great year, a great, impactful year for the Cavs, but I just couldn't sneak Garland in there. But again, wouldn't be shocked if it happens. Moving back out to the Western Conference, let's talk about their reserves. And they get a little bit interesting because there's just so much talent. You look at the Eastern Conference reserves, and obviously they're all talented all-stars, but you're not seeing names like you do see in the Western Conference, possibly coming off the bench. My first reserve for the guards, it's going to be Luka Doncic. He could be a starter, but he's also injured, so he may not even play in the All-Star game. So we may see other names we'll talk about later getting into that position, so we'll see what happens there. But Luka Doncic is going to be my first reserve off the bench at that guard position. It's Luka, walking triple-double. I know he's not having his best year, but his down year is still averaging 26, 28 with 8 assists, 8 rebounds. That's a down year for Luka Doncic. So you have to put it into the perspective of his game. Maybe not his best year, but it's still a really good year compared to every other player in the NBA. My next guard reserve, I haven't really seen his name get floated out too much, but I think he deserves respect, especially as of right now. It's going to be De'Aaron Fox. He's averaging top 5, top 6 in points per game. He's shooting the ball relatively efficient, obviously behind the arc, not great, but overall having a really good year. And the Kings are getting better. They've won a lot of games in a row. I think they've won 6 games in a row. They're 19-19, getting closer to actually becoming a playoff team. They're getting there. They're in the play-in right now, and they're only a few games out of a playoff spot. After starting off the season terrible, they fire Mike Brown. They're looking better, and De'Aaron Fox is one of the leaders of that team and one of the main reasons why. And last night, they killed the Boston Celtics, and that was actually without De'Aaron Fox. He was hurt, but yeah, De'Aaron Fox definitely deserves a possible all-star spot. I think he deserves, in my opinion, that second guard spot off the bench. But I wouldn't be surprised if he gets snubbed. He's gotten snubbed before in past years because it's the Sacramento Kings. They never get love. So I would not be shocked if he got snubbed. I'm hoping not, but it wouldn't be unusual to see someone like De'Aaron Fox get snubbed off the All-Star voting. And then getting into the front court. This is where you're going to hear names like Kevin Durant and LeBron James. That's where they fall. They're having great years, but in my opinion, they're not all-star starters anymore. They're not better than Wembanyama. They're not better than Anthony Davis. They're sure not better than Jokic, not even remotely close. They're not getting in there, in my opinion. They're getting older. They're still great. They're still all-stars. But without looking at fan vote, because I don't care about that in this perspective, they're not starters. They're going to be, the 2 first front court guys off the bench, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, but that's where they fall right now. And then my final front court guy has to be Triple J. You look at the Memphis Grizzlies, 24-14, having a really good year. They've slowed down a tad compared to where they were, a few weeks ago, a few months ago, but they're still looking amazing. And they've done a lot of this with John Morant coming in and out of the lineup. He's been hurt a good bit of the year, and Triple J has been that one consistent player on this team, or I should say consistent star on this team. He's having a great season. He deserves that final front court position. Now let's talk about the 2 any position spots on this Western Conference All-Star team. The 2 final spots on the roster. I'm going with Alperen Sengun. He has to make it. He's the best team on a He's the best player on a really good Houston Rockets team. They're 25-12, having a great year. The Houston Rockets are back, and Alperen Sengun is the best player on that team. He definitely deserves to be rewarded for that. He's going to be my any position player, my first any position player. And then the last one here, it's going to be Stephen Curry. It's Steph Curry, so it's really hard not to put him in here as a starter or one of my 2 top, guard guys off the bench. But I'm not putting him in there over Luka Doncic, De'Aaron Fox, SGA, or Anthony Edwards. It's just not happening. He's having a good year, but it's not like that usual superstar Stephen Curry year. And it's because he's getting older. He's just not what he used to be. He's still great. He's still an all-star, but he's not a starter or my 2 top guard reserves anymore. He's averaging 22, 5, and 6. Not bad in any way, shape, or form, but this is where he belongs, all right? I know he might be a starter based off fan vote. Again, I don't care about that in this right now. He's going to be one of my final 2 any position guys. It's Stephen Curry, so he's going to be there. I can't not put him in there. It would be really weird for me to do that, but he's just not having that crazy all-star campaign because that's not really what he is anymore. Again, he's still great, but he's not a starter, and he's not my top 2 guard reserves. So my final 2 any position slots are going to be taken by Alperen Sengun, which is well-deserved, and then, of course, Stephen Curry. A few guys who could sneak in here based off injuries, like Luka Doncic. I doubt he's going to play in the All-Star game because when he got hurt on Christmas Day, they said he was going to be out for a month, and then he'll be reevaluated, and who knows how long. It's a calf injury. Those things can milk on for a very long time. Kyrie Irving, I know he just got hurt, has some back issues. We'll see what that issue is, but He very well could be an all-star. You have Devin Booker, who I know is on a really mid-Phoenix Suns team. He's also not having a great year, but he's also always in all-star conversations. Domantas Sabonis could sneak in there. If someone like Alperen Sengun gets hurt, Triple J, LeBron, KD, you could definitely see Sabonis knock into one of those front court positions. He's a walking double-double, always great. He's got snubbed before, like De'Aaron Fox in all-star games. Would not be shocked if Sabonis sneaks in there, though, if he gets a little bit of love. And then Norman Powell. I had to throw him in there, man. Norman Powell is having an amazing year, but he's on the Clippers. They're a mid-team. I mean, they're 20-17. They're better than what I thought they would be. They're currently the 8th seed out west. And people have been talking about Norman Powell, but I would love to see him make an all-star game, but the West is just so packed. I mean, you have Luka, Fox, KD, LeBron, Triple J, Alperen Sengun, Stephen Curry off the bench. That's off the bench. And Norman Powell is competing with Luka Doncic, De'Aaron Fox, and Stephen Curry off the bench. And then he has to also compete with Kyrie Irving, who might get in there. Maybe Devin Booker. I would kind of lean towards Norman Powell just because I would love to see him in there. But I don't think he's going to make it. Again, though, if someone gets injured and there's enough love for him by the coaches and the media who votes, wouldn't be shocked to see Norman Powell make the All-Star game. But that is my 2024-2025 NBA All-Stars. So a quick recap. We have Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Giannis, and Kat as my All-Star starters in the East. And then off the bench, we have LaMelo Ball, Damian Lillard, Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, and Jaylen Brown. And then my two any position guys off the bench are Cade Cunningham and Tyler Hero. Out west, my starters are SGA, Ant-Man, Victor Wembanyama, Anthony Davis, and Nikola Jokic. And then off the bench, we have Luka, Fox, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Triple J. And then my two any position guys out west are Alperen Sengun and Stephen Curry. So anyways, hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about my 2024-2025 NBA All-Stars. What do you agree with? What do you completely disagree with? Let me know. I'm very interested to what you think about this year's All-Stars. Anyways, I'll see you guys very soon. And like always, peace out.